All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this wonderful Thursday evening for some more D&D right here on Lionhead Gaming. And because it's Thursday, it's time for some more Song of Rapture with the Valiant Vanguard as DM'd by Omen. Monsieur Omen, I pass it over to you.
When last left our valiant vanguard, they'd come to the end of seemingly what was once a basically challenging adventure in another world, only to find themselves out of the frying pan and into the fire by returning to their friend's hometown, finding things not quite in the same state, and ultimately coming to the head of a great battle, eventually leading to an event that would probably change the course of this adventuring group's future. But how they exactly got to this point, not really my story to tell. So, would someone like to tell us what happened on the last episode of that Song of Rapture?
Last time on
Hey,
Song of Rapture, we found ourselves somewhat split as we confronted Galleon, a man that seemed to be behind the scenes and not really everything that was going wrong in the city of Illyria, but everything that was heading in that direction. So it seemed like the plot to connect the Feywilds and the material plane was actually meant for something far more devious than anybody understood. The truth of it all was apparently the opening of the gate was not just meant to connect the two planes, but all the planes in a catastrophe that would tear everything apart. Led up by little old Galleon, apparently being contacted by some of this strange nefarious force out there that we've run into before, those that command these strange black orbs that seem to tear holes in reality itself. But as we confronted him, he told us about his little plan, gloating a bit, and very quickly we realized it was not the man that stood in front of us, but just an illusion of him, just the fake. Thankfully, Luna was able to tell pretty quickly with her magical eyes, and with Tamarkai's little ability of sensing the life around him, something gained in the Feywild with his return and unlocking of his senses to be even more keen than they ever were, was able to find exactly where, well, the friendlies were in the city and where the real Galleon was. But real Galleon gave a strange scent, something that was certainly not human. Or elf in this situation. Neither of the two. With that task in underhand, we had to act quickly, giving the party the message that troops were approaching very quickly outside of the homestead here for Persephone's family. We shot off in two different directions. Most of us heading up towards the study room of sorts of Persephone's father, where their friends were being held, including the rest of Persephone's family, and the other two, Luna and Samantha, took the chance to make sure that so joyful Galleon in his security that he had won was still lingering, but this time in the library, waiting for the task to be done, where the troops would take care of our oh so fabulous heroes, and his personal knight would put an end to Persephone's family. Thankfully, Swift Hollow, Persephone, Quildor, and Tamar were insanely quick on their feet, some using strange magic to leap great bounds up the top of the building, some actually shrinking their size and being used as a carried on deadly weapon on the back of Tamar, others using the fairy dust given to them on their travels in the Feywild to be able to take to the skies, avoiding the approaching troops with a somewhat familiar face to some of them leading the charge. The Kingpin, a man from the underbelly of the city, apparently under the employ of Galleon as well. We continued our charge, making it our way to the office building, the study, rather quickly, and found, as we were somewhat promised by the visage of Galleon, the night that apparently has plagued Quildor's past, the one that was actually responsible for taking the arm of his charge, the one that brought him his dishonor, the one that led him down this path to begin with. And we fought, cutting down the guards that were there that were turned against our allies, but very quickly it realized these were not the normal guards of the. What's your last name, Persephone? What's your family name?
House Thea.
Thea, not the Thayan guards, the guards loyal to the Thayan family, but they were actually drow in disguise, more of these underbelly crooks that had made their way into Galleon's employ, sent as assassins. We broke and cut them down one by one. Finally, the knight fighting after Quildor, chasing a bit of magic to try to protect her. A final duel between the two of them, but with one quick cut, Quildor not quite ended her life, but repaid a debt. An arm for an arm, as it were. With that, family was secure, and the other part of our party had their tasks to do. Charging in and finding Galleon hidden away behind a magical bookcase, something sort of ferret away inside of the Lord's own manor that he himself was not even aware of. They confronted Galleon, and in quick order, Galleon started to show his true form, as Luna saw through it quite early on. His face changed, stretched, gnarly teeth started to grow as his eyes became sharp and his fingers and features sharp as well, as he took on the visage of a strange fox-like creature, larger and quite a bit, well, not of this plane. His infernal visage, as he taunted them and called upon more of his allies, the drow lying in wait, his own little personal guard, those more talented in magic than the ones fought up in the tower. As the battle of magics and wizards began, Luna charging in, taking on her own little familiar into her body, using its magic as a somewhat strange armor of sorts that seemed to spread over her body, and even wielding the sword that her old knight used to wield, started to cut into the beast, while Samantha and Persephone's father fought off the reinforcements. Thankful, although the reinforcements sort of got the upper hand at the beginning, throwing on a bit of strange entangling magic, trying to lock them down. Easily enough, Samantha was able to get out of their laid out trap and start blasting people into bits, especially with a new little bit of magic where it seems like the snakes themselves infused with magic, completely able to eradicate people with some pretty powerful radiant magic. As the fight was going pretty well, even Persephone's father using a strange bit of magic trying to lock the beast in place, Samantha wrapping him up in her snake-like form, as Luna taking out a strange little magical item that they had ferreted away that just recently learned what the fuck it did, stuck it on the nefarious little Galleon, the strange belt, locked away his mind and his magic. Although, right as the fight seemed to be over, and with the intent to try to take this creature alive to learn more about its dark master, it disappeared and reappeared on the other side of the room. Although with its mind befuddled and its spellcasting locked away, the inherent magic of these demons, these devils, these fiends, still coursed within it, still able to just innately teleport short distances. Thankfully, the other part of the party, a quick work of their job, saving the family, were able to catch back up, and before he made it through the door, Persephone was there to stop his way. A few arrows on the back, a bolt here and there to weaken him, and a grasp of vines to put him down. Not quite ending his life, but stopping him for now. Persephone's father used a bit of magic to try to seal him in place, something that would take a while, as Samantha went digging for answers. With a bit of magic for Persephone, something she's used before, but not ever really in this way, digging into the dreams of an unconscious creature and the dreams of a fiend, where Samantha was welcomed by basically the void for a moment, and then started to take on the looks, the perception of not particularly her own. It seemed like her eyes had been moved to the head of another creature that just fell, meeting with its dark master. learning the secrets of spreading a seed, gathering power, letting it grow, so that everything would come to an end. And we come back with, I hope, Samantha popping up out of the magic. I don't know. Maybe her mind is rent asunder and she's forever gone. Just a potato. But we're coming back as
Secretly re-rolling, baby.
as the
Potato.
dream spell ends. Mysteries to be gained from this unconscious creature. Maybe a little bit of a celebration, as quite a bit of wrongs have been righted. But put an end to all of this. Some conversations to be had, and maybe to see what's next for our little intrepid heroes at the Valley Vanguard.
Oh no, the campaign's over now.
Oh, okay.
This truly has been a song of rapture. Yes, indeed.
Dun, 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 dun,
Give yourself some DM inspiration, Tamarcon. As indeed the last session ended with a world of darkness seen in the mind of this decrepit fiend, with Samantha seemingly facing down with this looming, thin, truly not seeming alive, almost like lacking all skin and flesh on its
Oh,
form,
yeah.
skeletal
good.
face, nice, staring down back at her, offering him the power that seemed to be given to this creature that calls itself Galleon. And in that moment, the darkness is dispelled. Whatever dream this thing had, this is all it had to offer. As the magic disperses and we find ourselves back in the depths of this strange, seemingly otherworldly library. During the time you were casting your magic, Persephone, and basically sending Samantha into the dream, your father would have completed his magical circle with the use of his magic, and you find yourselves now stationed at the center of the library, a softly glowing incantation, a small set of runes surrounding this unconscious creature, keeping him seemingly in place, if only by magical means, as Samantha returns to her form out of the dream, into her body, back to reality.
You notice something sort of weird as Samantha sort of snaps back to herself. She noticeably, along with all of her snakes, just seems to sort of shiver as though really cold.
Are you
Well,
okay?
that
I know-
is a problem.
What?
Looks like he's contained. Kelon.
Yes. Oh, you see my pulse hands apart, and the circle beneath this thing flashes for a moment, and then sort of dims. All right, magic is in place. Did you learn what you needed?
I learned more than I expected. But I need to know, what do you plan to do with Galleon?
Destroy him. If this thing is alive, he's going to cause a problem.
You are not
Agreed.
wrong. I will take care of him then. There's nothing more, I wager, we can glean from him than what I saw in that dream. Samantha sort of steps forward, cracks her knuckles, and then just starts to sort of channel some magic into her hands. Not Eldritch Blast, but instead something a bit more primal. This is going to be a bit gruesome, but I want to take something for, well, an experiment.
You can take his heart again.
Would you say, Luna?
You can take his heart again.
And Persephone at the same
No.
time asked his heart.
Not his heart. As Samantha is just going to clinch up underneath his jaw and sort of bring him towards her, take her other hand and take it towards the base of his lower back and try to cast Primal Savagery and Sub-Zero him. Just rip his skull and spine clean out.
Give me a strength check, as you're able to tear into this thing, but you are trying to rip it asunder.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig my fingers in to basically sever the spine, sort of splitting on both sides of it and splitting his neck and trying to pull at the same time. It may take some wrenching, but
Oh yeah.
gotcha.
Really going at it, really trying to get that
That
spine out of there.
Her seeing this magic flow through Samantha and being familiar with this one other time she used it to rip something out from a monster, she's just gonna step halfway behind her father. She's not gonna watch.
Yeah, the claws immediately dig into this thing. You can see its eyes snap open and its body convulses as it lets out this terrible. As you tear into this thing's flesh, you can see what should be blood pouring out of this thing. There's nothing. It seems you're just ripping through warm, living, but strangely liquidless flesh, almost like a living doll, as you tearing this thing apart, and the whole body just falls limp to the ground.
So why?
And she sort of just turns to you and takes her bloody hand and sort of gestures towards the.
Oh, there's no blood.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's no blood. Correct. Takes her hand that she had in his lower back and sort of gestures to the amulet at her neck. Made from the heart of a dragon. I wonder what I can claim from this. As she sort of looks at his hopefully mostly intact head and spine.
Seems to be mostly be. Everything seems to be pretty mangled by the claws, but it ripping it out seemed to cause some twisting of the spine, but otherwise you have it mostly intact.
There is a weird sort of connection to magic and the traits of things. The heart of a dragon can imbue its constitution, carry its strength and power. The mind and spine of something so infused with magic and blessed or cursed to control these orbs, these void holes. I want to take it for myself. I wager we're going to be dealing with more entities like this that can wield that power. I don't want anyone getting torn asunder by it. She just takes the skull, looks at it one last time, almost in a Hamlet-like way, and then shoves it in her bag of holding.
Ooh, yeah, nope, that was Chomp's, so...
I know the difference.
Wrong bag.
Wrong bag! Wrong bag!
I'm sorry. What did you see then? You didn't explain that yet.
No. I saw that creature's birth, I believe, spawned from nothing, made purely of magic in a void of sorts, and I saw what I can only believe to be the Sovereign, its creator, a skeletal and obviously undead entity of great potent power, something known as a lich. She sort of looks to Kellon to see if there's any flashes of recognition.
He just sort of like just narrows his eyes. And all of you would have an inkling, maybe not as much Tamar Khan being an alien, an inkling of an idea of a lich. Their presence in the world isn't as potent or as strong as, say, like a giant or a dragon. But wherever there is study or talk of magic, there is sort of this hinted word, a name of something. Something that has driven those who seek magic to the farthest depths of humanity. They are sort of the wizard's boogeymen, and they are more myth and discussion than fact, although in a world full of dragons, giants, and magic, there is always a bit of truth behind such myths. It's something probably everyone's heard the name of once. In fact, one of the biggest and most dangerous forests in all of Mobia is known as the Lichwood, considering it seems to be where this name came from. Something about someone with a great deal of magical power using it to destroy themselves. It's probably where most stigmas of people using magic would ever come from in the world. If it was ever used for terrible evil, a lich would likely use it. And Kalon just sort of just narrows his eyes and looks down at this thing, and then immediately starts like moving and curling his hand. A lich. How terrible. Are you done with this thing?
Yes.
Good. as he'll just like wave his hand forward, and you see light streak up from his wrist to his hand, and then shoot down as a bolt of magic comes striking down in this creature's body. A big clatter of lightning that hits the ground and even catches some of the carpet around it on fire, and just sets the corpse ablaze and destroy the rest of it.
Yes. The sovereign gave this creature its task, gave it an orb spawned from what I believe to be a much larger one. Unless I'm misremembering, God, but
Pull it out of the darkness.
a portion of this entity's power told it to seed it into the world, let it grow, feed on chaos, and consume everything. No inkling as to how it found Mordred. Perhaps.
Mordred
He
was sucked
died.
in. He was sucked into one of those orbs.
Ah, okay.
Isn't that much
Understandable.
more chaotic than goblins?
I wonder.
Well, Galleon.
So, anyways, your friend, is he alright?
It did good! And got some good strikes in. You'd be impressed.
Yes, he nearly died, but luckily training was able to get him back on his feet rather quickly.
Can't take him anywhere without him dying.
Rail and Mother are safe too. First looks up at her father, who seems to be quickly fleeing the scene.
You'd see him already. As soon as this thing starts to smolder, you can see the fire now completely settling on this creature. He's already turning and seemingly magically flying away from you guys out the door quite hurriedly. You easily guess where he's going.
Bathroom? Probably bathroom.
Galleon had help
Quick rub.
from some of the drow in the bellows.
Indeed, but they were under the assumption that he was part of the council.
Well,
It's
he
hard to
was.
fault somebody for following one of their members.
Yeah, I mean, like Persephone said, he technically was.
Yeah. Galleon was a part of the council. But I guess if they were willing to overthrow another councilman, there had to have been some other goal involved.
Power, wealth, prestige,
The same old things that have been
legitimacy.
causing betrayals for, well, as long as you all have existed. Yes, Samantha sort of looking over the desk, trying to find any sort of notes and the like, just trying to investigate, I suppose.
Sure. Give me an investigation check.
You said this was a room that doesn't exist. Perce isn't familiar with it or anything.
Oh yeah, it looks like this room. You walked into a wall essentially through a bookshelf to get here. The other side of the wall should be outside the building, and yet you're in this building with windows that seem to gleam with light, even though it's dark outside. As you're looking through there, you find some obvious things on the top. You'd see look like they would be spell books, but the incantations inside seem too formulaic to be actual spells. They seem more like just general magical notes. You notice some similarities between that and Kalon's notebook. Looks like just some simple conjurative studies linking between planes and then making the material components used to properly create a gate. Besides that, just you just see a lot of writing, and it looks to be various languages, like several languages. Most of them seeming to be Elvish, but others seeming to have touches of Infernal and Abyssal. Others seeming to have, strangely enough, the ancient language of Celestial written on the very soft edges, as if copied from somewhere. And other languages that just you read the script as Dwarven and Elvish, but not quite the actual words, almost like maddened archaic scripts. It looks like lots of notes that can't really discern from a glance.
I just start collecting them and organizing them, essentially gathering up all the loose leaves, anything that seems maddening, and sorting that into one pile, and then collecting the things that seem a bit more orderly and perhaps maybe spell booky in nature, and collect that in another pile to take both. I have time.
Okay.
Luna,
What's that?
should we not be concerned that Samantha took a bit of glee and even laughter with ripping out a creature's spine and neck and skull? Or is that just how she is?
I'll put my hand on Golden's shoulder. We will deal with that tomorrow.
I do
Maybe.
not envy you, Luna. Let us go walk and go explore up the steps, see if there's anything.
I'm gonna find Eric because he disappeared somewhere. Then I go to the. Where was the family?
There, I'll show you.
It may be good for your father to make a proclamation, weed out all the rest of the usurpers, make sure that the streets are back under his
Thank
control
you, Koldor. I
before.
think my father can handle his city.
Not tonight.
I'm just looking up on the staircase, Coulter. This looks like rows of books. You like put your hand towards some of them, and you immediately see the books start parting. And it looks like there's just some sort of empty walkways behind these things, almost connected in like a single sequence. And it seems like every time you move your hand towards one of the books, they just seem to move away from you in part, as if they're not truly, as if they're just sort of like part of a strange magical mechanism, as opposed to actually being there.
Yeah, see if there's anything back there in the walkway, but more than likely there isn't.
Doesn't seem to be. Seems like it's more just meant to be a hidden place. If you walk inside one, you can see the bookshelf sort of shimmies itself back closed behind you, and you can look between and sort of see between the cracks of the book. It looks like a place to for people or creatures to hide. Nothing really to turn your eye. As the rest of you guys are just heading out.
Someone's gonna take a stroll around the interior here and help out the guards that have been knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, if we're walking down the hallway and Perse sees that there are guards down, she's gonna cast Aura of Life to see if she can get some of them up as they go down the hall.
Yeah, I'd say as you're walking past them, Tamar Khan going to check them out, you'd see, yeah, they look like they're just sleeping, but at this point, now that you're not zipping through reality to get here, you notice that most of them seem to have like a small spike, a similar piece of ammunition you've seen your friend Swiftelli use quite frequently. A bolt that caught him somewhere seemingly not quite lethal, but still a hearty blow. And when you sort of jostle it or cause them enough pain trying to deal with it or otherwise just shake them, they seem to come to. It seems like the magic alone isn't quite enough to actually heal them. It seems like again they're not quite killed; they just seem to be unconscious. And after you see Tamar Khan sort of toying with people, shaking them awake, you'd realize, yeah, these things are just there's something just keeping them unconscious. And once they wake up, you can see that they're kind of groggy and delirious. They sit up, like sort of like lurch forward, and a couple of them would actually like get sick on the ground. It looks like most of them have been harried by some poison.
Yeah, so with
That's
Hollow
that's
walking with them. Widow's Bite. The signature of a drow.
it didn't
Goodness,
kill
my
them.
friend, you live
It's
another
not,
day.
it's not supposed to kill them. It's a non-lethal poison.
There are non-lethal poisons?
We used one on my brother. I mean, some are wonderful teas that make you sleepy and
Wait,
very relaxed.
wait, we poisoned your brother?
Mm, when I say we, I mean I did.
I'll spend like an hour to like an hour and 15 minutes making sure I don't miss anything at the desk, Omen.
Yeah, once you go through the notes, it doesn't seem like there's actually a lot here. Again, you just seem to have scribblings on paper. You're looking for like anything else, like focuses, any items, any tokens. A lot of it just seems to be gone. Everything he had on him seemed to be on him, besides these papers. In fact, it's strange. You don't even see like any writing utensils. There's no charcoal. It's like if whatever he wrote on, he either had on him or maybe he used magic to write it. Hard to tell. The desk seems strangely empty, except for some knickknacks here and there. You do see like a wizard hat, some collective things, but nothing really truly to garner information from besides the notes that would probably take time to interpret.
Okay, yeah. I would just focusing on the notes, not really looking for items, and just trying to figure out what what languages I don't know that could be in like Dwarven script or Elvish. I would presume probably Sylvan.
Could be. There's a number of languages out there that share the scripts, but again, you could spend just some time sitting and reading through them, trying to interpret what they're saying. It would just take time.
Okay, I'll notate them down in my my log. Is the other book like actually a spell book?
Again, it seems like it's got something that should be spells, but they seem way too formulaic. Like, if you were to try and interpret how these things work, it would be more like a magic theory than practice. But potentially, if you read through this thing and spend enough time, I guess, putting practice to the theories, it might be a spell book. Just not written by what you'd expect to be your typical wizard or arcanist. Then again, this thing didn't seem to be your typical wizard or arcanist.
Alright, so I'm gonna put Galleon's Crazy Notes, Crazy Languages, and Galleon's Magical Theories book.
As we make our way through the halls, we'll look out the window that's pointing out to the main entryway. What do I see down there?
The window out to the main entryway, like down for where you guys came from?
Yeah, like, around where we had an encounter, out by the front door. It's just, what's going on out there?
It'd take you some time to get there, as you guys your other allies spend a whole minute zipping as fast as they can with magical flight to get here. You guys are sort of carefully making your way. Before you guys would come there, Luna would actually sort of come around the corner, and you'd see a number of the guards, the actual Illyrian guard or inland guards, awake, seemingly actually like with on their bodies patches. Looks very rudimentary, like plant life and other just scraps of material, probably taken from some of the furniture that seem to be tied around their wounds. And it seems like they've actually come to. And as you're sort of settling down, picking up on your surroundings in this main hall, you'd see shortly following after one of these guards with sort of a hand on their shoulder is Eric Gelner, who seems to be like speaking to him and helping him keep to his feet and guiding him out to the main gate, even handing him what seems to be a spear back, or a sword back to his side. And he sees you approaching, and he just sort of like gives you a timid wave and motions you over.
Luna, are you alright?
Okay. You kind of disappeared. I thought you might have gotten yourself killed.
Well, I was following as close behind as I could, but I couldn't help but notice. As you ventured on, there were men and women unconscious in these halls. Although I'm not quite what I used to be, I still am a doctor. I figured my skills were best used to help them in their time of need. They were poisoned by something, some strange, familiar elven poison.
Thank you. This person walking up behind Luna is just a very grateful and hopeful smile on her face.
It is a doctor's duty to help those in need.
And yeah, Temercon, as you look down the entryway, you'd see a number of those guards are actually, although again sluggishly, some more than others, making their way outside. You would hear kind of a soft commotion going on in the courtyard. A familiar voice sort of groaning and rattling on. Sounds like a number of excuses, but eventually just sort of sounds like conceitment. As peeking out the door, you'd notice surrounding these men who seem to be more or less embedded in the earth from the waist down. Some of them, their arms stuck in what looks to be was once liquid stone rather, now sort of wedged in, with the familiar looking face of Ranulphane, hands up in the air, seeming in defense of himself, but waist down, stuck in the ground. speaking to a number of these inland guards. Again, most of them seem like they're barely keeping their swords and spears in hand as they're just nauseous looking, but they definitely seem to have an upper hand on these individuals who are quite literally wedged in the ground. And just before him, you can see, clattered before this familiar face, is a long, thin stretch of steel that has folded itself up on the ground. As Randall Fane looks up to see you all approaching. Oh, this is definitely not my night, it seems. Oh, Pat, there you are. Would you do me a favor and offer your friend a hand?
Of course, boss man.
Oh, still good to see we have good help here. Seems there must have been a misunderstanding.
All right, so you weren't trying to siege the manor and overthrow the inland nobility and side with Galleon, who is a traitor to not just the city, but to the entire Elfin lands.
Oh,
And
this is
probably all
Inalin.
apart.
I didn't realize we were in the city of Inalin. Ah, we must have taken a wrong
It
turn
is
back in the
literally
tunnel.
in. It is in the name.
But
well-
Stephanie, you have him all wrong, boss man. He's much greater than that. He's even put up a crime organization underneath your city when the portal was activating, drawing magic out of the tree from underneath. Isn't that right, boss man? You're very good at what he does. Selling the stones from all over. It's very ingenious.
I have no idea what he's talking about. We'll just go back. If you would just allow us to go back on, you can see the spears already coming out. These men are being surrounded. What are you talking about?
Oh, was I not
Secret-
supposed to say that, boss man? I'm sorry. I am just a fool after all.
Do you think the Bellows will get along just fine without you?
As he immediately starts to reach out forward just towards this bar in front of him. Come on! But his hands just won't reach far enough. Come on!
I grab it, and I flutter back.
As the thing, as you grab it, sort of twists in your hand, you feel it open up in your hand as it unfolds until it looks to be a longbow.
Oh, wow.
Where did that come from? Men, get them! All right. We know what's going on here. You, if you know of this tunnel, lead some of us, at least, where the entrance is. We'll take care of these things. As you can see, one by one, some of these soldiers start to approach the mostly incapacitated drow, holding looks to be like thin elven chains in their hands, just trying to basically keep them bound in place while they figure out how they're going to deal with them. Do we begin with a spade or a pick?
Guards, as horrible as this event is, when you venture into the Bellows, not every one of them are represented up here. It's their own civilization down there. Keep that in mind.
If there are drow beneath the city, they must be taken care of.
But up until this point, they've left us alone, and even now, it's only been a handful of them. If they are beneath the city, if the roots of the Zendel is a part of their home, does that not also make them a part of Inalin?
The relationship between the drow and the rest of Illyria is a strained topic. Currently, we will see to it that we do not approach bloodshed or harm, but they will not be welcome. Must find new shelter. You must understand, this is above Inalin, this is an Illyrian issue. But for the time being, we will simply take care of these men. We just simply wish to know where this tunnel lies. This is not information we know of.
What tunnel?
What tunnel?
I don't know anything about a tunnel. There's a tunnel? You have a tunnel underneath your city?
Well, in all the time that I've lived here, no one's ever shown me a tunnel. Persephone gives him a really big grin.
You know, Persephone, I'm sure your mother and brother are worried sick about you. Plus, I need to go see Bram. Let's just head over there real quick. Where's my carpet?
You got it.
Is the pixie
Railed.
dust still working on us?
Seems like you got a few more minutes left. You guys got almost this done in about 5.
Persephone's just
Actually,
gonna
how long does it take to cast Dream?
1 minute.
Oh yeah, you still got a few minutes left.
I'll start floating away.
Me too.
It's
Making
so
my way
low.
downtown.
I meant to give you a gift, but maybe another time.
As you're floating away, I'm going to turn to Persephone and say, we're probably going to need to tell him eventually, but
I
maybe we
know.
could talk to your father and see if we could set something up for them.
I agree. They're more than likely to follow my father's direction than just listen to me, who's been gone for a whole year. But that's not something we can argue about right now. Thanks.
What are you up to, Swiftello?
Slinking off to Gizmo.
That's gonna take a little bit of time. He's way across town.
Oh, most likely.
Okay. As Cooler, what are you up to?
I took a short rest in the keep or in the palisade, and then I'll probably head out onto the streets. So what time of day is it?
It is nighttime. It is approaching the midnight.
Okay. Well, then I'll just I don't know.
I mean,
just
it's
go chill.
it's an elven city, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but businesses and stuff aren't open or anything like that.
Sure. They sleep for 4 hours a day.
All right, then I'll go do my thing.
Okay. So same thing with Crystal. It's gonna take some sweet ass time to get there. Plus you're resting
fine.
for like 15 minutes here.
Yeah, that's fine.
So what are the rest of y'all doing? Heading back in castle, go and check on the family.
Yep, I'm leading Luna all the way up to the broken window.
Alrighty. As just with before, you'd find that large shadowed window, having some time to float up through the air, which most of you can, fly up through the air. Towards the entrance, flying into the open window, you'd see, it looks like at this point, the bedroom has been somewhat reorganized, although there still remain some piles of what look to be, suppose, dealt with drow, as well as a now unconscious and mostly tied up elven knight, stripped of most of her armor and her weapon, it seems, as well. As you would find yourself in the Lord's chamber.
And in
With the Lord's chamber, entering your family's room, and you'd see Bran just sort of splayed out in a chair, just like, it looks like he's had his wounds tended to mostly as well. Again, somewhat rudimentarily. As he like turned to face you and sees Luna. Hey, Luna. Long time no see.
You look pretty beat up, but alive.
Yeah, I'm alive. Oh, I'm really feeling alive right now. Are you okay?
I'm fine. For now. Your mother's going to kill me, though.
She don't gotta know about this. It's fine. We just had a good time in the Elven City. Ugh.
Father is fine. I think he's on his way. The guards are taking care of some of the drow outside. How are you two doing? Persephone's looking at her brother and her mother.
We're fine. We're just trying to take everything in. It's quiet, and you just see Rael looking over Theron's shoulder at the corner of the room. I've never seen someone die before. Oh, that was pretty gruesome, but we're alive. And just as he says that, you can see the doors to the south open up as Kaelon just knocks him up, and seemingly without the use of his hands, as he just flies on through, sees his family, and just flies over the furniture and just comes up and hugs his wife. You're alive. Oh, thank Ioun, you're alive. And then pulls her close, looks to you, then swerves around you and sort of just stops right in front of Rael. Rael, my son, everything. I'm sorry.
Rail, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I pushed you into this, and it led to so much. There was so much. And he just grabs him and like hugs his head to his chest, and you see him just like put his head on top of Rails, and your dad just starts weeping, Persephone, and you just see him breaking down, holding his son, who also confused, very confused, but also starts to cry. Just first time really you've seen these two, I guess, ever really emote in front of each other that wasn't a fight. It's over, though. It's over.
Percy's gonna flutter up and just give both of them a tight hug.
You see little mom sneaks in there. The whole Thea family just holding each other in this sort of quiet moment, and Theron's just sort of finishing up, tying up Hildora before turning around. And, your lordship, there was, I'm sure you understand, know by now, an incident. Seems as if one of the knights of Illyria had turned on its lordship. But thanks to the action of your daughter and, well, truly by the end of it, was a Marian knight. She was, well, quite literally disarmed and has been apprehended. She does have access to a great deal of magic that I don't think was ever truly accounted for. What should we do with her? Tielin just sort of looks back and sees Heldora unconscious on the ground, rope tied around her midsection, armor mostly stripped off. Blind and gag her. If she can speak and see, she can use magic. Keep her from doing so. Yes, sir. As he starts to go and basically dismantle Hildora. Helon just sort of pulls away from the family and looks around, seeing just sort of most of the Valiant Vanguard here, but then looking out towards the window in the night. The sounds of this night have likely echoed through the city. I will have to address the people soon. They will have questions. This is a lot to take in. Drow, betrayal, fiends, seeds of destruction. What do I say to them?
The civilians may not be able to remain calm if they know the extent of what Galleon was up to. Perhaps it's better that they know that he was a traitor, that he attempted to overthrow the Inland nobility, and that he's been dealt with, along with those that sided with him.
That's quite apt. Thank you, Persephone. This Rails kind of looks back and forth between father and you.
You called me Persephone.
I will find who is left. Take some time. Please, daughter, keep them safe. I will find who is left I can trust. I'll make a statement. I'll address the people who are likely to be gathering soon.
And make sure they know that this doesn't interrupt what Inalin is going to be getting. The blessing.
Right.
As scary as this news is, they need to know everything is still going to be okay.
I would like you there when I speak. I believe in this moment more than ever I will need your wisdom. For now, I leave them to you. As she just reaches out and again just takes you and pulls you in for a quick hug. I'll be back. As he just zips out the door and makes his way seemingly through the rest of the town. Seems like you guys have some time to yourselves to recoup. Sounds outside you can hear some sort of like tink tink tinking as it sounds like the stonework is being removed and some of the drow are being apprehended. The remaining guards who have been wounded inside the manor have been tended to, and even seems like what's his name? Eric Gelner has continued his path, basically going through and making sure that nobody suffered any grievous wounds.
you guys have some time to yourself in the night, as it seems like Swift Hollow and Coolor are making their way throughout town. What are the rest of y'all up to?
I'm gonna console my family because they went through something extremely traumatic that they should have never gone through.
I'm gonna head up to the rooftop.
Okay. Luna, Samantha, what are you guys doing? You just chilling, studying books, hanging out with Bran?
I'm going to take Bran to go meet Eric. Plus, he
Oh,
keep it
that's cute. He's gonna meet Grandpa.
Okay. I'll start with... Actually, what are you up to, Samantha? You just hanging out, reading still?
Yeah, after sort of getting everything organized, Samantha just sort of takes a moment to sort of think about what is most likely going on, and sort of she feels a bit weird, actually, because she doesn't feel like she has a place in it at the moment. And for her, that's fine. She's just going to utilize this tucked away space and call on her wonderful little friend on her arm to aid her in getting various books off the shelves, and just take this time to herself in this quiet, magically hidden away little study, and just start trying to break down and understand the sections of these crazy notes that she can read: the infernal, the celestial, the abyssal, and just sort of gathering some paper and making notes and just blocking out everything else that's going on, because she's not going to console Persephone's family. That's not what she does. She is looking forward, what the Valiant Vanguard needs to take care of next. So that is where her mind is. She will use her wonderful little infinite sendings, so good, and shoot a short message to Luna to let her know if she's needed. She is still in the study, working on, looking at this stuff.
Okay. All right, we'll start with Persephone real quick, as you're just sort of hanging out with your family. Yeah, like Rael is mostly just trying to catch himself now. It seems like it mostly be just sort of all over the place, just confused. Things have seemingly changed over the course of a week or so, but really your mom, after everything, seems to be the one who's actually, strangely enough, the most calm. You could just see her like smiling and wiping a tear out of her eye. I've never seen him look at Rael and you like that. It's been quite a long time since I've seen both of you in the same room, mind you, but since he's been gone, it changed quite quickly. Suppose that was your doing.
A little. The Feywilds kind of have a way of making people grow really fast.
He was actually in the Feywild, out of the
Followed
city.
us.
He followed you.
Yeah, he followed us. Calliope had a secret portal that she used to get back and forth. And right before we jumped in, he found us, and then he jumped in after us, and he closed the portal. I don't think he expected us to jump in.
I didn't expect him to jump in either. He's not since he was young was he ever the type to do something so bold. He's younger than he is now.
Well, you should ask him. I think he'll have quite the story to tell. One that's his own this time.
He told you. Wow. You guys, that's amazing. Guess it takes dragging him out of his own world to get him to open up, it seems. That's wonderful. And you see Rael's just sort of like finding himself a seat, and Theron sort of helps guide him to a chair as he sits himself down. It's over, you said. Does that mean the wedding?
The wedding is off. But we
Then-
still get the blessing.
How did you work that?
We made friends.
Only you, sister. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm kind of sad it took all of this happening as a result, but still, thank you. I wonder what that means for me, us.
That's. I was going to keep adventuring with the Valiant Vanguard for now. So I'm sorry to say that I'm not staying. There's a shift in Hearth, and I've picked up a couple of pieces as to what's going on. At this point, it's a bit of a responsibility I see this through.
Yeah, it seems you're right about that. Everything's been changing. Uncle Galleon is a traitor. Drow here. Something about magic. Someone was mumbling.
The Drow, you don't think there is a chance that we could coexist, do you?
I've only heard bad things about them. I never met one myself, and we've always been told if you meet one, it's usually bad things happening. But I
Oh,
mean, if you made friends with a fake queen and overthrew a wedding, you might be able to change that. I can't say for certain, but I do think you're right. There's something going on, and I think people need to do something about it. As he kind of looks up at Theron, and Theron just kind of like tilts his head at him weirdly, like, "Why are you looking at me?" I'll think on this. Really? So, as he just seems to be washed over with relief. And
Maybe if you wanted to travel a little bit, Rail, maybe Father would be more inclined to say yes.
that would be the dream. And honestly, with what's going on, it may be right. But once all this is over, once all the craziness ends, we'll talk. We'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah.
And there's- Shifting up to the roof, Tamarkan hanging out in the night sky on top of this great old manor. What are you doing there?
Yeah, just sort of take a seat right on the edge of the building. Good night sky air, that different smell of the air. It's not quite as refreshing as the wild. It doesn't quite smell like home. There's some familiarity to it, but it's still different. Not quite as pure, but it still feels good out here as I reach into my bag to pull out a strange little furry thing. Just hold it out in front of me. With my passé. Sorry to see that you found this fate. Wish we could have seen more together. Been more. I suppose the things you saw never returned to him. It is a shame. But he said that he did not take your life, so maybe you did after all. Just a little bit later, I see. Oh, maybe you can help me along my way then. I'll tell enough story for the two of us. And so I'll just sort of hold the tail up in front of me in both hands, sort of just pull it outwards in front of myself, close my eyes and meditate as just sort of take in the smell, but this time not focusing on the air, but focusing on the smell of fur itself. Not my fur, but the fur of another. Taking in the essence as the wind, that emptiness inside, that absence of life reaches out and tries to connect with this tale, the life of it, much like how he connects his strange thing called ki to the air around him, the things around him, how he manipulates his own body and the things close to him. He tries to take in the essence of this tale.
And you sort of take in that air, that connection between your life force and the emptiness within, and what's usually like the air and surroundings. This time, the thing you hold in your hand, you feel this like sort of warmth, almost like a warm breeze wash over your fur and through your body. and what seems to be like the soft glittering across the fur, this sort of still like maybe soft beat of life that really only you with your connection to Ki could feel, and almost washes out of this item into you in a breeze. And after a series of time letting the wind wash over you, a pulse, a feeling, familiar feeling. The air becomes a bit more crisp, as if for a moment you can feel the essence of the place you came from, the place of the wilds, imbue you before you are retaken to the world. As you pull the energy inside of from the simian cord, it seems whatever power it has left fades, and bit by bit, the hairs start to fall off the tail. And as they sort of descend and scatter away into the wind from one end to the other, whatever would hold it together almost seems like it would be a bone or some stretch of muscle is gone until eventually you're just holding a pile of fur in your hands that just blows away in the wind.
Till next we meet, my friend. I'm hoping to see the things that you saw. Once we all come back together again. Well, till then, let's enjoy ourselves. As he'll just enjoy the night sky for a little bit longer, pondering what to do next.
Alrighty. And down in the main manor, you can see now most of the guards have gathered up. And Eric, although you catch him now sort of going through some supplies, it seems that some of the guards had gathered him things from the storerooms in this place. Seems to be doing some slow but particular work with, looks like a combination of concoctive chemicals. As it seems like he's sort of mixing together his own tonic that he's, once you get back to him with Bran, seems to be administering to one of the elves who kind of horridly chokes the whole thing down and then sort of like almost lurches again.
Just keep this in your stomach. Hopefully, the sickness will pass. If it works, then we'll make more for your ally. For now, just simply sit. Ah, Luna, go back. If you wouldn't mind, hand me more of those vials.
So before we even actually get to Eric, while walking, I'm going to explain to Bran. So, funny enough, this happened right before I actually hired you. The person that I'm about to introduce you to raised me as a child. He's not my father, but my parents left me with him before they went missing.
That's nice.
I'm just going to come out and say it. So he ended up being a vampire and plunging my town into eternal darkness. So you had to kill him.
And we're going to meet him?
Just had to kill him a little bit. He got better. I mean, come on.
Imagine this adventure from Bran's perspective.
Yeah, so when we went to the Feywild, we met the Fey Queen, we got her heart back, we got wishes, and I wished for him to come back to life as just a normal human being, so you don't have to worry about him biting you. Maybe. You might be into that. I don't know if you're into that. Don't answer that. But he's not a bad person. I think he was made a vampire from something when he was at the lowest point of his life, was taken advantage of. But now I hope he can be a better person.
Okay, so like you had me for a while, and you said Feywild and Fey Queen and wishes.
I'll explain that further. Basically, you're going to be my father, basically.
And he's not a people eater anymore.
No, he's not a people eater anymore.
Okay, that's
he'll probably like you. He's also a doctor, so would I have him help you? Because you're still kind of beat up.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, Luna. At this point, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff with you guys. That's a little scary, but I can at least swallow that. I trust you. He seems like a pretty nice fellow. Plus, this really hurts. I got 2 swords put in me. I'd like if he can make that stop hurting.
Good. You'll make a great night one day.
You think so?
And yeah, we end up meeting with Eric.
Oh yeah, swooping in, you'd see Eric administering this vial to someone. The moment he sees you, he kind of just glances your direction and then motions toward what looked to be a stack of other vials, and looks like he's like taking like elven wine and other strange ingredients in the kitchen and seems to be formulating his own sort of antitoxins out of them.
Any more of those vials? Still more to do.
Well, about that, as I'm, I guess, grabbing alcohol for some reason. This is Bran. I hired him as my retainer, and Quildor is training him to be a future knight.
Oh,
He's your son.
Bran, this is my adopted father, Eric.
a pleasure to meet you, sir.
As he reaches down and like sort of gestures for Bran to take his hand, and Bran just kind of looks up at all of him, and he like looks over at you, Luna, and he smiles and like kind of reaches out and takes his hand. Nice to meet you too.
Wow, your hands are really warm.
Wow, yeah, sorry, I'm a little struck. I wasn't expecting to meet her. I guess her adopted father. Yeah, you wouldn't mind taking a look at some of these. Some of those drow got me with their swords. I think they got poison on them, and still kind of really hurts. You want to take care of that?
Oh, certainly. I'm currently working on a concoction for that. I haven't used it on wounds, but we can certainly give it a test.
As he starts to basically to gather his things, he kind of makes Bran half undress, and as you see Eric pulling out some supplies, it looks like he's making his own sort of needle and it looks like thread. He sort of like leans down, starts to get to work, and Bran just kind of grimaces. And as he looks to you, Luna, you see his like eyes go wide, and thankfully you can read lips with your observant feature. You can see him immediately mouth at you. You didn't say how handsome he was.
I mean, she just kind of gestures towards herself, like she expected this. Adopted, but, you know.
He's like, ridiculously handsome. As yeah, like Eric would just spend some time, like sort of making very calm and idle chit chat with Bran, just sort of asking him questions in general, sort of distracting him what seems to be the pain that he now seems to be further stitching up some of his half-healed wounds and otherwise applying salves that Bran sort of grits his tusks against, but bears for the most part.
It seems like I'd just be around to help. I mean, I'm not really trained in medicine, but I've been around Eric when he did it, so
oh yeah,
I just know what to grab for him.
Oh yeah, he'd basically just be asking you for some general supplies. It doesn't seem like they have a whole lot in this magic elven city, at least here, besides some medicinal herbs and the like, but he seems to be using alcohols and the like as sort of solvents for some of these materials and just sort of having people drink them, make them sick, and sort of puke out the illness flowing through them. But yeah, like you said, you've been helping him do so. And it almost seems strange because even the way he addressed you and sort of asked for your help, it wasn't like a strangely like him coming to nostalgic. It's almost like the wheels never stopped turning. It was almost like clockwork, as if you're almost back home. As you spend your time helping dear old doctor not only tend to your ally Bran, but also help mend some of the sickened guards that have been poisoned all throughout this manor. If there's anything else you want to do?
That's me.
All right. And then back to the further edges of Inalin. We'll pull back Citadel. Right? Yeah. At this point, Swift Hollow, quick on foot and not taking time to truly rest, you'd find yourself on the far edges of the city, back at the inn at which you'd left little Mr. Gizmo, who seems to have not at all moved from his spot. By the time you do return, Swift Hollow, I'm assuming probably slinking through the streets, you'd catch wind of word carrying out throughout the lower parts of the city. It seems as if that, yeah, the commotion up north had been heard, magic had been cast. It sounds like a storm had been summoned up there, the crackling of lightning all throughout the place. And even what sounded to be the sound of like crackling earth and the like. It sounded like there was a battle in the manor, and there were no guards around that area to tell. All the ones from the lower guard from this area, some stayed put, others went to go investigate. It seemed like it was a strangely surgical attack, and people are still trying to figure out what's happening. Some people say it's Zamarians having once again, Tyrians once again invading Illyria, but they're sort of speculative. Everyone's just sort of uncertain and sort of caught off guard and confused. But yeah, by the time you do get back to the inn, you find Gizmo's room, and he seems to be bunkered down as usual. Just simply awaiting someone to show up and talk to him after so long. He immediately pop up from what looks to be his own little corner where he has all of his gadgets, and it seems like his sort of makeshift workshop, and he'd immediately like spring to attention when you walk inside. Othello, you're here.
As always. How's it going? I've been gone for a while.
You certainly have. Yes, it's going quite well. I have, truth be told, I have most everything I think almost completed. I'm just missing some final crucial steps on the project. I just need to be back in my own workshop to complete it. I can't do what I need to do with this here.
It seems we're going to be staying in the city for a couple days longer.
Oh dear.
Or maybe, perhaps not. I don't know what the rest of my party is planning. Do you have the prototype at the very least? Does it just need assembly?
It needs a proper place to put everything together, ensure that the arcane core within functions without causing destruction. I need time, I need a good place, or I need another set of hands. I don't have another set of hands to do this with.
Lucky you. I've been freed up. It seems I have the rest of the evening to myself. Shall we?
Yes, but you're very careful hands in a certain field, but I need the hands of an artificer here.
She wiggles her fingers. My time in the Feywild has... Well... As she just, like, picks up an object and, oh crap, I forgot what the feature was called. What's that first level feature? God, I didn't write it down because I'm a bad player and I don't level up my characters.
You magic it.
I magic it. God, I'm a bad person and I forget to level up my characters because I'm like, that's a lot. What's it called? Magical tinkering.
Really? You've picked up on the art. But I haven't even...
I cheated.
I haven't even trained you. How did... If you can help me, certainly. It would take most of the evening, but we might be able to get this functioning as you'll pull out what looks to be... It's strange. It almost looks like a wand, but the entire thing where the handle would be on this thing seems to be bent at a sharp angle. Almost looks like the handle would be like a hand crossbow, but the whole entire thing, there's no bow, there's no string. It just seems to be a long, thin rod. There seems to be crystals and the like attached to it, but at this point, it looks like it's still quite unfinished. There's still parts that need to be put on to strap the whole thing together.
Yes, with Hollow starts also in her own way experimenting with how much residual magic is really still inside of her. Yeah, she starts just touching objects, making them glow with bright light. And, yeah. She'll just imbue an object with light and imbue another object with, I guess, the odor of flowers.
How on earth did you pick this up all on your own?
I had some help. It seems transporting dimensions and... I guess I really don't regret becoming a gravedigger. From an assassin.
Suppose there's possibly some merit in traveling and intrepid adventuring. Gain such skill, but nevertheless, this is a blessing. If you help me here, I might be able to finish this up by tonight. Although I fear you testing it, it is admittedly going to be quite loud in practice. Fixing that would take more time and possibly more experimentation, but for now... Ooh, okay, this is happening. It's
not a good weapon for assassinating, but if it's loud, it's fine. It's a weapon for grave digging.
Yeah. Let's make something the world has never seen before.
Let's get to work.
Spend some time.
Pulls out her Nightcrawler shuttles.
Yeah, get your tools out.
Yep, getting her artificer tools out.
As the door would shut behind you, and in the cold confines, hidden away from the rest of the city, two apparently brilliant minds with skilled hands and crafting capability with magic get to work to make something quite dangerous. As Quildor making your way down the city, you've been to the smith. You actually had some weapons made by him before, and they didn't take too long, didn't cost too much. You had the materials in hand. What is exactly you're looking to do? It seems like they're still awake in this hour, as elves don't need much time for sleep.
looking to do a special project. And it's a gift for somebody. So, you know the details. We'll keep it a little secret. Keep it safe.
Secrets? At this table?
Yep.
The Lord spends some time with seems to be other part of the town, working on something in secret. Alrighty. Ending with what seems to be Samantha still in the studies. You have your friend Raziel, now visible, flying around this strange, otherworldly library. Again, most of the books you try to find or pull, a lot of them seem to be just for show. Even the ones you managed to pull from the actual shelves themselves seem mostly blank, just not much to glean from them. It seems like a lot of this place is just for decoration and show. The shelves themselves seem to be lined with books, if only to hide what lies behind them. This room was created to hide and stow away what seemed to be assassins and weapons and the like, in case one would ever invade it. But the notes you spend more time with, sort of with this extra set of eyes, interpreting the meaning upon them. Roll me a Arcana check. With
Yeah,
advantage, because he's helping you.
I'd also direct him to go out into the actual library, knowing that these are all like sort of fake bookshelves too, if
Sure.
if need be. Arcana.
Indeed. It's a lot of what you're trying to interpret, again, in multiple languages. Some of them just seemingly lost. You can recognize the script, but not the actual text themselves. Even, it seems, Raziel's not quite fully able to read some of them. Some of them just seem to be maddened, looks like to him. But a lot of these things seem to speak of what seem to be placements. They're almost less like spells and more like, I guess, what would be the arcane or otherwise planar version of, I guess, locations. Kind of like when you're looking at a map, there's your basically your logistical placement based by number or location. But in this case, you're not choosing a map. It seems to be a place in space somewhere, a place within the prime somewhere else. And it takes until you're basically splaying some of the notes out across the ground, across the table, in sort of a similar way that these things were splayed out before, that you find some of the lines between these notes of differing texts start to align into what seemed to be almost like a long and wide winding wheel, very similar to a map you'd found in another library across the world in Movia when you last, I guess, faced against one Eric Gelner. And at the center of this seems to be an empty space. It's not like the map where you have everything at the center focusing on the prime and looks like to be the Fae and the Shadow. Instead, it almost seems to be an inverse. The different planes surrounding this great wheel, and at the center seems to be just an emptied, blank spot where the papers do not connect, making this perfect, against the dark wood, almost black looking hole at the center of everything.
Do I think this to be her void?
Certainly seems like it. Normally on the wheel axis, it's strange. You'd see the excess. The wheel and everything inside is reality in all the different forms. Everything outside being, well, the astral possible sea and the void that lies beyond and through it. This version seems to be a strange, twisted ideal of the, I guess, the wheel you'd call it. Rather than reality being surrounded by nothingness, it seems almost like this implies at the center of everything, there is nothingness. You can see places where it looks like these planes are connecting or touching, where these circles would intersect, and all of them seem to connect and surround this empty spot in the middle. If you call it the void, it almost seems like all of them surround and connect to the void.
Sort of.
It-
No, go ahead, Raziel.
this snake boy sort of floating above, fluttering his wings, looking. Big perfect circle. Almost looks something like a gate. Wonderful.
It is true. sort of take out my my GoPro orb and just quickly basically just try to take like a 1 second snapshot because I effectively have a camera. So I can just take a picture of this. So I will sort of take a magical 1 second recording and quickly sort of put all of that stuff back together, organize, and put it away, and then try to make my way to where the gate is.
Sure. It would take a bit of time, but you'd go out through the gate, the back of the mansion. You'd follow the same path. It seems like your allies had pointed out to you, or at least was shown to you by Galleon, through this hidden grotto behind the city, which now seems to be relatively abandoned. You'd see the area leading up to what seems to be. There we are. Sure. Find yourself. Stepping into that empty grotto, water still flowing from what seems to be the base of a fallen tree, and resting at the top of it, on top of a large stump, is that same similar gate you'd once seen, I guess, for moments before. Galleon had given you sort of a descriptive tour, showing you that this thing is at all not harmless. Originally guiding most of you, or at least some of you, into the belief that this thing would cause no harm, and yet, so it is. And as you do approach, there's somewhat familiar writing. You could see this does appear to be an arcane gate of sorts, but along its edge, familiar scripts, elven and scripts, some in dwarvish, some in different languages. Although relatively seemingly incomplete, there's still places where it looks like markings and symbols, and this thing replaced by gemstones and jewels have been left empty. There's still room for a script to be written. Seems like this thing is relatively incomplete.
Just sort of take just a bit of time, just taking down some notes on the gate itself, and trying to maybe find. Would there be like a necessity to sort of etch like magical sequences and stuff like that into the structure beyond just the symbols, because the symbols are replicated in the splaying of the notes, right? Like it also checks out with that.
Seems so.
Yeah, so I would just look for anything, if there's anything on the gate that does not correlate to the notes.
It seems more like the opposite. It seems like if you were to compare the two, a lot of it seems to overlap. It just seems like the gate itself is missing script that it's in the notes.
Yeah, the notes of the blueprint. This is the incompleted project. Got you.
Seems
All
like
right,
it.
then. Just for comparison and cataloging and potential explanation to very important wizard people, I'll take a snapshot of this too.
Okay.
And then I guess from there... Yeah, I guess from there I'd probably just head back, just let Raziel rest. It sounded like he was tired. And I'll just head back to the same place that I was in the library and turn my attention to the theory book and just start chipping away at that. I'm sure that's much longer endeavor, but that is just I'll spend my not needing to sleep self hours doing. Perhaps on the way back getting like some food or something if I can, and just doing some page turning.
All right. Indeed, the evening is going on long. It seems most of you have scattered to do your own thing, some tending to families, some simply catching your own breath, others tending to projects in the night. Unless there's anything else you want to do, it seems as if the night would come to an end.
I just have one
Ooh.
one thing. I planned this
Go for it.
right before. Well, as everyone's like getting ready for bed, it's Persephone's first night as a full fairy, and she thinks that means she's kind of like a full elf. And she goes to Swift Hollow's room to see if she would help her how to trance, but Swift Hollow's not there. So
Persephone goes back to her room to see if she can figure it out until she falls asleep, thinking she did something wrong.
It seems like there's sort of this bubbling incitement that fills you throughout the rest of the day. It almost feels like it's maybe this is that Fey magic, or maybe this is just the remaining excitement and anxiety of everything you just went through literally in the last 24 hours. It's kind of crazy to imagine you fought a strange, heart-stealing Fey and then found out the truth about your quote-unquote uncle and effectively saved your city and family within one full 24-hour scoop. On top of that, adding the fact that you're really no longer truly, in a sense, a humanoid. But that excitement eventually fades with exhaustion, your mind fades, and you find yourself falling asleep. Although your nature has changed and your magic has grown stronger, it seems you're still, in its essence, the same old Persephone.
Oh, I will, towards like the latest possible point, probably like 4 or 5 a.m. or something, I will try to summon my chest and see if it's back.
Doesn't seem to return. Like it's still kept on the prime somewhere.
To the,
Oh God!
To the lid of this motherfucker. All
right. As indeed morning would come to the city of Inalin, and as the sun would start to rise, the city is still very much alive. It seems rest is not something, like I said before, happens too long here in the city. Those who work often find themselves trancing, eating, and resting for maybe just a handful of hours before they go back to work. And as the sun starts to rise, light pouring over the city, life would begin to bloom and surge, it seems, up from the lower parts of the city, as lots of individuals, sort of kept at bay at first by guards, but eventually somewhat overrun and then led to the front of the mansion, begin to stir, as it seems like something, not of a mob, but a crowd has begun to gather to the mansion. As most of you who sleep within would hear the chanting or calling out of voices in the elven language, demanding answer. What happened last night? What was that commotion? There was something going on with magic here. We heard a fight. Why are there holes in the ground here? What happened?
Oh my God, I've never heard the townspeople so loud before.
The Purse is gonna get up and go straight to her father's quarters.
Yeah, you'd find him inside, sort of pacing back and forth. It seems like, thankfully, in those last few hours, most of the carnage had been cleaned up, thankfully, by the use of magic. Your family all still remains inside, seemingly quite safe. They don't really seem to want to leave this place for now. It seems like the chambers have proven to be a safe grounds, but Lord Kaelon is sort of just pacing back and forth, hearing the sounds of the people outside calling out towards him. It seems like his wounds had finally been healed the next morning as you get back in the chambers. And as you approach, you see him sort of like looking out towards the window to the south, just sort of trying to find words to speak. I suppose they need an answer. Daughter, if you would help me address them. This is going to take tact. And actually, you carry more words of wisdom than I do.
Wait.
I'll be there next to you, but if there's anyone who can address them and calm them, I think it may be you.
Okay, I'll try.
And she puts a hand on your shoulder. You've got this, Persephone. I'll be right by your side.
Okay. All right. I got this.
As Persephone is gonna go out to address the crowd.
All right, walking down a bit of a walkway leading to a balcony out the window, you would see down on the city below, looks like several dozen, even more so, sort of scattered out through the rest of the courtyard, even around the now dimly glowing Zendalurada. There are people who are looking up towards the manor, again, kept at bay by the guards. Not so much angry or hostile, no one's throwing fists or attacking, it just seems to be that the people are demanding answers. And the moment the entryway sort of opens up and you find yourself looking down, you hear voices calling out, again, relatively collectively, but still very much loudly. There she is. Lady Velora, what is happening here? You've There has been talk that you've been gone. There's been talk that there's been stirring in the upper city, and now there's been carnage, damage. What is going on here?
Persephone takes a deep breath and, just trying to get more courage, her wings begin to flutter and just elevate her a little higher as she looks down at the crowd.
I understand why all of you are frightened today. I'm going to explain very briefly. Galleon, a member of the Eternal Oath, has betrayed the Inolin nobility. The sound you had heard last night was an attempt to overthrow us. Rest assured, it has been taken care of, and we've apprehended not just Galleon, but also those that had worked with him. This isn't going to interrupt the plans to bring the blessing to Inolin and Illyria. It seemed that he wanted to take advantage of this moment for himself.
As you hear like the stirrings in the crowd go silent for a moment, and then more voices begin to pop up. Galleon! The Eternal Oath! What of the rest of them? Do they know about this? Word should be sent!
Word will be sent. The council will be informed. Galleon's betrayal had been a surprise to us, but one that we were prepared to deal with swiftly. It was not just thanks to the guards of Inolin, but also thanks to a group that I have become wonderfully familiar with and am proud to be a part of, the Valiant Vanguard.
As it seems like the crowd again goes silent, there's some moments of unease among them, and you can hear one voice immediately just call out, "Then what of the wedding? Lord Galleon has caused betrayal. There's distrust amongst the leadership. What of the wedding? Is the Fae Queen still to come?"
I have met with Queen Titania, and we have agreed that though we do not need a wedding, Illyria will still get the blessing. She has allowed me to bestow it onto the city. As I said, what Galleon wanted was of his own accord, but everything that Inolin is meant to have, it will. That part has not changed.
As in that moment, you hear the steps next to you and a hand sort of rests on your shoulder as Kellon steps out to the balcony. "What my daughter says is true. It comes as a shock and surprise, but one who we trusted most had betrayed not only this city, but the nation as a whole, carrying with him conspirators that he has hidden both above and around this city. It was a planned attack. I cannot speak for certain. The trust that we had in him may not suffer the same fate with the rest of the Eternal Oath, but this will be a matter that we resolve very quickly. The Emerald Collection will collect soon. We will find ourselves in meeting, but until then, we will do everything we can to keep safety within this city and for you, the people. And you can trust what my daughter says, that her actions were for your sake and for ours. The Valiant Vanguard acted justly. It was their decisions. However they were done, whatever inspired them, they led to this outcome and saved countless. In due time, when she is ready, she will bestow the blessing upon the Zendal Rada. I ask that you all bear in witness and celebrate not only her, but the people who brought safety to the city." As you see him just sort of like look down at the crowd and then sort of turn and move his hand off your shoulder. "They're yours." As you can hear some people start sort of muttering to themselves. And then he can hear quietly some quiet applause and people calling out gently. and soon sort of buzzes and roars into this crowd that seems to be cheering for you. A bit confused, but otherwise excited. It seems as if the city of Inalin is in fact getting what they need. Although at the lack of a wedding.
You know what? Persephone's used to that. That seems to be very common. The civilians always applaud but are always confused. That's okay. And fluttering in the air, she curtsies to the crowd and takes her exit.
Alrighty.
And
And it seems
closes the door behind her, and then looks at her father. Don't make me ever do that again. I still needed at least a day to figure out what I was going to say. I didn't know if I even said enough. They still sounded like they were panicking. They still kind of sounded confused. That's kind of normal for them, actually. Isn't it?
My daughter, you did well. You said what was needed to say. You said it well. You did not speak out of turn. You did good.
Okay.
You would make a wondrous leader.
Okay.
For now, catch your breath.
Okay, I'm gonna go find my friends.
And be careful.
Persephone flutters out, giving all of the members of her family a hug before she does so. Still trying to calm down. Maybe fluttering like a frantic little dragonfly. Zip, zip, zip.
At this point, they'd probably be a bit more aware of the wings and how more permanent they seem. As Rael's kind of watching you fly around. The gods, you've really changed. Yeah, fluttering away down. What are the rest of y'all doing? You gathering up for breakfast? You spending time all across the city? What are you guys doing?
I would have snuck down and listened. Because I don't.
Oh yeah, if you're in the manor and you're likely an elf and don't sleep, you easily hear the crowds cheering outside or calling and yelling. So yeah, bear and witness.
I am.
What are y'all doing?
Currently munching on the sweetest and saltiest breads and meats that I can get someone to bring to the, I guess, same dining area that we ate in when we first arrived. As I am just sort of chilling there with the theories book in one hand and a goblet, my silver goblet of Rum Runner's Choice, Obsidious version. Just waiting to see what occurs this day.
Get a good vantage point of the speech and head back inside. Go find everybody.
Yeah, Persephone's zipping in.
Probably just sitting around with Eric and Bren, catching up with Eric, just telling him of all the shit that we've been going through since we killed him.
Did you tell him his house is a museum now? For us?
Oh, I haven't told him that yet.
He'd be pretty dang enthused about the dragon fight. Seems like he's quite interested in such things. You actually hunted down and tore asunder one of the great Titanborn. That's unheard of. And my Luna, Dragon Slayer. Suppose you're a slayer of many great beasts now.
What's even more disturbing is I guess the dragon also had one of these strange black orbs that we're dealing with right now. He's trying to pull the primordial plane of fire to this plane.
Certainly seems to be the collective idea behind these things. Dragging and pulling at all the planes in one place and punching a hole clean through them.
You didn't happen to receive one of those things, did you?
I did not. I was tutored by some strange cackling thing. All a blur now, but suppose perhaps if given more time to complete whatever task I'd wished for, perhaps it would have conjured one, I would have been offered one, but no.
That's good, at least. How much of that time do you remember? about the encounter between our party and you.
It's like a bad dream. I've awoken, and the details still remain. I recall fighting. I recall the emotions I felt. I recall the semblance of pain I felt while in that form, but in its entirety, it's more of a collective feeling than it is distinct memory. The specific things I've said or done, I simply remember eating, feeding, and taking joy in something that I otherwise would not.
I guess it's
Sickening,
good
actually,
to
remember.
try and forget most of that. I think it's the only thing that I'm scared about right now is Gregory, if you do remember him.
A large man, I call him, he was full of anger.
Yeah, the that encounter with you and everything that happened with that kind of, I guess, broke his spirit for a bit. I think he's doing better now, but he stopped adventuring with us after that. He stayed home. So I'm going to try
Perhaps,
and keep you two separate, because I don't know how he would react.
yes, perhaps keeping us separate would be best for both of us. Oh. Alas, though, I do have found great company in your companion here. I did not think you would ever take a retainer, though I suppose you as a noble now, discovering your heritage. Something fitting to you.
Honestly, it was kind of an impulse purchase. I say that like
Oh my
you're
god.
an object brand. I didn't mean it that way, but
You didn't. I guess you pay me. You did pay me. You do pay me. You didn't buy me though. You bought me some
yeah,
nice clothes though.
I didn't mean it that way. But
Bran, I
I
own you.
No.
But she helped me out. I was working in City of Crossway. I was just doing manual labor to help my mom out, and kind of stumbled upon or got stumbled upon by Luna, and she gave me a chance to, I guess, live out a dream. And honestly, it's kind of been a crazy dream, but it's been a fun one. I've been all over the world, at least all over Mobia. I'm in the Elven Lands now. Never been there. I went to City of Roka. Had a had a lot of fun in Roka. We going back to Roka?
Oh god.
is there any particular reason why you want to go back to work? Huh?
Oh, I mean, I just like the sun on my skin.
I think we'll be going back to Roka
Really?
for some.
It
I
is
think
a
we have to
very
go back there.
enchanting city.
Oh yeah, it's enchanting. And training, of course. Yeah, I got
Of
good
course.
graces with the champion, so all this fighting, I got to get more experience.
The
I
prostitutes aren't bad either.
I didn't even know that they had those there.
Bran, I must admit, you are an adorable liar.
I don't even recall what. Boy, this food's real good. I like him. Luna.
I thought you would.
Samantha, what did the queen give to you?
My wish?
Yes.
I guess in a roundabout way, a degree of confidence, but uh, there is something, I guess, akin to magic that I've only really tapped into, well, dealing with Galleon. It's hard to put into words, but I guess when really need be, I can inspire those who would call themselves my ally. Even go so far as to help them push beyond their limits.
Interesting. I've heard you speak before. Does it feel any different? Could you try it on me to see if it gives me the tingles?
Well, I think it's similar to just that sort of, I don't know, effort that you kind of feel when I take a few moments to really just bring our minds together towards a solid purpose. It takes a bit of time for that, but you find yourself a bit more sturdy, do you not?
We
This.
link our minds.
No. Sort of like when we faced, those challenges in Roka, the arena. I took that time to sort of bring us together and inspire us to make sure that we would succeed, and there's just something, I don't know, I guess, inspiring about my words. This is much faster. Something that I can imbue at a moment. I suppose, well, you would need something testing your might, I suppose, for it to really work.
I can think of a few things. Try it. Lay it on me.
You want me to try to hurt you?
No, your blessing thing.
What are we laying? As Persephone probably by this point makes it down.
Samantha's wish.
Table isn't long enough.
Perse is fluttering over and grabbing food along the table.
Yeah, secretly there's an
Yeah.
interior side to the table.
And then
In
sitting.
the water section?
Well, there's a distinct barrier between the water and like this inner floor area. Anyway,
Yeah, it's a splash zone. You put on your
Gonna be
poncho.
as far off the map as possible.
I know.
Yeah.
Only goes so far.
There you go. There's my little sliver.
Yeah, Perse
Yeah.
circles the table, grabs a bunch of food for herself on a plate, and then sits in her father's chair.
So, no, what are you going to try to attack something?
No, I'm going to try my fortitude.
Okay, Samantha just sort of looks at you, and she just gets a little bit closer to you, sort of pulling her hair back a bit, and just sort of looks at you with just her normal face, and just puts a hand on your shoulder and looks you dead in the eyes. Whatever it is you're going to face, you can weather it. I know that for a fact, Quildor. As she is going to try to sort of just force herself to grab a hold of whatever it is the Fey Queen gave her, this pool of esoteric energy or something, and just pass it along to him, even though it is not a dire moment. It is something that is almost mundane, but controlling her abilities is kind of what Samantha's all about, as I'll give you a inspiration as a bonus action.
I don't really feel any tinglies.
I think tingly's more is my magic thing.
Just
Don't
Glitters
feel numb,
and
though,
bubbles.
so that's good. So just kind of reach back into my backpack and pull out this egg.
what on
It's breakfast.
are you?
It's
You're
got
going
to
eat
eat it.
I just take the sword out and just cut off the top.
Reach into
Yes.
your bag and
Egg.
you pull out this big old egg that seems to be, again, covered in these resplendent looking scales. Even parts of it seem to have, like, looks like pieces of, like, old alien looking coins and gemstones that are slowly, as they gradient up the edge, seem to infuse themselves into the scales. And as you cut into it, you do see, as the egg cracks open, some sparks seem to come out of it, as it seems like soft bits of light and magic seem to emanate from within.
The letter says give you the gullet of the pig, my friend.
As I will use my DM inspiration for this roll.
As
All right.
you start to dig into the egg, I pull out a strange, ethereal, what looks like a mango, and bite into it. As right before you eat the egg, you feel a wonderful sensation in your mouth. It's delicious.
Yeah, there are the tinglies for you, Quildor.
Is that mango?
Yeah,
Where you
Victor.
Where you guys pulling all this food from? You got fruit, you got an egg.
What does your mango do again?
It's bless.
Oh yes, I love it.
Hashtag bless.
All right, we'll try this.
You can't have your egg unless you eat your mango.
Cod.
How can you have
We'll
your
do the
egg if you haven't eaten your
bless.
egg?
We'll do that.
I
33.
don't
Not
think it
gonna.
does it.
Has bait on him.
You pawned too much. You turned it.
Yeah, it went inverse. You take double damage and immediately
Nice.
explode.
As you pour the contents out into your mouth, Cooler, it at first, if it wasn't for the fruit you taste in your mouth, it would be almost like you're drinking. I guess the closest you equate to being like smoldering heat or like fireworks, that hot carbon sensation as it starts to burn all the way down your throat, almost like a hot wine. But again, it's more physically hot than like a critically hot. And you sort of have to like grimace against it, and you feel this heat coming from the egg, a soft pulse grow louder and louder, and then you feel it pulsing down your throat as you swallow what seems to be a mass of like life energy into your body. And then as it starts to build and swell in your chest, your toughened state, thanks to the magic of your friends, allies, and even just your own toughened constitution, able to withstand it. And then out from your chest, sort of a burp of sparks and light come out of you as you feel magic suffuse you. As you can increase one ability score of your choice by 2.
I get swole.
As that swelling of magic rushes through you, that sort of pressure in your chest builds and then sort of expands throughout the rest of your body, almost slightly cartoonishly, like in a Popeye sort of way. That sort of building in your chest sort of expands out the rest of your body, and suddenly the rest of your form feels strangely lighter, although your armor is now a bit more tense against your form, your musculature increasing beyond the realm of normal elves, as you gain a +2 to your strength.
Beyond the limit? Oh my
I am a
goodness.
god!
22 strength, baby!
Oh snap!
That was a lot of egg. Are you okay, Quillor? Did that thing spit smoke at you?
You didn't want to like cook it first?
Yeah, we could have had the chefs cook it for you.
No.
I mean,
it's
I hear
better
people-
raw.
I heard people want to get stronger eat raw egg.
That's right.
You feel stronger?
Yes.
Uh,
Boy.
Well, I'm glad it worked for you. It does look like your armor's a bit tighter around your neck. God, your muscles are so much bigger.
We got Brendan ooh-wooed. I'm gonna save that.
Uh-oh.
Get a sound alert.
Oh,
So,
We're gonna need
regret everything.
So are we pulling out food and eating it here, or what are we doing?
has anyone seen Swift Hollow? She didn't come back last night.
No, last I saw her, she was heading out into the town. I'd assume to see her friend, acquaintance.
I feel like she'd probably call him an associate.
Probably a business partner.
They seem rather close. They could be lovers.
I very much doubt that.
Yeah, Swift Hollow cares a lot about her craft, more so than particular people.
If you're willing, I could ease your mind, but I do not want to invade our privacy. If I
Oh,
don't
no,
need
don't-
to.
No, don't do that. I just wanted to ask her something last night, and she wasn't there. That's all. I just noticed.
I'm sure she'll come to join us. You have some people bring in more food.
I mean, I suppose my parents still need to eat. It's still early. I mean, we had to deal with the townspeople first.
You dealt with it very well.
I wondered what that ruckus was.
You were there.
Of
I
course,
was
me
down
and
here.
Tamar Khan were obviously
Yes.
in the wings.
It was a beautiful speech.
Yeah, Pacific
Maybe
gave a
just, like-
speech.
buries her head in her hands.
Marvelous.
I
But
do
maybe
have
you
to
do
warn
that
you,
for me more
though.
often.
There was some dissent among the crowd. It seems like many were very upset about the lack of the wedding. Well, mostly about the lack of cake.
Well, Father did say there's still going to be a celebration.
No,
There you are.
Persephone, not a celebration. He looks, kind of like narrows his eyes towards her. A festival.
Hmm?
Samantha looks towards Luna.
As the Persephone looks at Samantha.
Did you?
How would I
How
get
much?
elephants here?
Wait, no! Don't bring elephants here.
Think of it, you could literally celebrate it every year here in your town. The Festival of the Blessing.
I was
Think of
wondering about that. Do you ever like go into the tree?
Yeah,
Like, are you
I
still?
I have to give the tree the blessing, but based on what Queen Titania told me, I still hold the magic. I just get to share it with others.
Easy enough, see.
Are we gonna get the key back? I think we should get the key back.
We absolutely should. We're
I
taking
can
it
guess.
to the Council of Ten, are we not?
Yes, I was hoping to. I need to get my sphere. Though I suppose it's sealed in its own little box. That should be sufficient.
Can you not
So-
just conjure your box thing here?
Sort of reached out and try one more time.
Doesn't seem to come.
It seems as though one of the two individuals I have bequeathed its access to have left it on the material plane for the time being. It must be returned to its hiding place to be summoned to another place.
That makes sense.
Get a phone call,
Okay.
bear back.
Uh
Uh-oh.
This is where we get to explain everything, and he can't say no.
oh.
God said, talk amongst yourselves.
Oof.
Yeah.
Do we? Or do we want him to listen in?
No, of course we can talk about ourselves. Tamarcon. What did you do with that tail?
With the bit of life still within him. Once spent, it's returned to where I will return to. Back to somewhat nothingness. Our bodies are only meant for a short time here. So once I took in what life it had, it is gone.
You ate it?
Anyway!
Quilla
Did you-
kind of leans over and looks. So you still only have the one.
Still only have the one! As I just sort of lean up, my tail just sort of wags up next to me.
I thought you were going to start your own little tail collection, and we could race to see who was going to have more wiggly appendages upon them. I had quite the lead on you, I must admit.
Don't know if I would ever catch with that. But no, I am happy with mine. It has been with me for quite some time.
All your life.
Indeed.
Oh.
Wait, were you not born with the snakes on your head?
Yeah, were you born with the snakes? Maybe we should take this conversation in private.
You was with us.
Hmm?
Simply
Servants
Bran
tend
and
to
Servants.
have.
There's always a rule that Rael and I always followed living here. And that's if you hear the servants talking about something, it means people are having a very important conversation about a topic other people aren't supposed to know. That's how I decided to run away.
You heard the servants talking about you.
No, they were talking about a private dinner that Father was having with Rail at the time. And I snuck into the room. I changed into a small animal and I snuck into the room to listen in. And Father was explaining to Rail that he may send me to Madame Videre's Academy for Misguided Ladies, a reform school in Ronin.
That's actually kind of funny name for a school.
It's very funny. I can't even fathom what you would have done to her.
Oh, but that's the thing is that there are horrible rumors about the place where the staff are just students that never graduated because they never became proper ladies. So if you're a full elf, you just live there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and if you're a half elf, you just stay there until you die, trying to teach other misguided ladies to become proper ladies. And it wouldn't. It sounded awful. So
Sounds like advanced kidnapping.
it's a boarding school, a reform academy. It's
Your father tried to kill you. Shall we end him?
what?
Well, I mean, at what point do you like age out to where they can't just keep you there?
You don't.
You
That's what makes
die.
it so horrible.
That's funny. Should we go there? Should we go and burn it down?
No. We can leave
Perhaps-
the Reform Academy alone.
We could liberate the children.
No, it's okay. And those rumors are probably just over exaggerated. You don't want to be the child of a noble and sent to a reform school. It's kind of showing that, well, the half-elven noble, as expected, was not meeting elven standards.
Well, I mean, as long as you were meeting them at least halfway.
But all of that doesn't really matter anymore.
That was a joke, Persephone. Apparently I'm not as good of it as Tamar Khan.
It's all in the
No,
delivery.
I have a lot of trouble telling when you're joking. You say a lot of serious and concerning things, Quildor. I'm gonna be perfectly honest.
I mean, I am a knight of Samaria, of course.
What? So that means you're supposed to have concerning viewpoints?
I mean, it depends on the situation. What is the latest one that concerns you?
Casually saying that you would kill a barrack full of Illyrian soldiers was very concerning.
Well, I only had to disarm one.
But you sounded like you wanted to kill all of them.
Well, rage and revenge tend to do that. But I did not follow through.
Is that you trying to make another joke?
No, that is me being honest. I did not follow through. And I wouldn't anymore. I'll say the people of Illyria have somewhat grown on me.
Have you never been to this part of the world, Kuldor? Your journeys took you
No.
south into the sands, right? But not this far
Indeed.
west.
Most people don't like a Tyrian knight in the lands. Most people still view me as the enemy.
So you're saying your hostility was as a result of perhaps a few decades at least of preconceived notions about who you are, along with your limited exposure and experiences with, well, those who were mostly your enemy.
Perhaps.
To being in a barracks full of those who, not too long ago in your long-lived life, may have tried to cut you down on the field of battle was well, an unfortunate memory to have to cope with. Suppressing an
There's
instinct to
always-
draw your blade against armor that you have drawn your blade against so many times before.
Indeed.
Okay. I feel as though I understand you a bit better then. I was admittedly concerned that it was something you had, I don't know, perhaps managed to deal with or find a compensation for over your years, and it was startling to hear such a thing.
Well, it helps now that my revenge is complete.
That is a satisfying feeling, is it not?
It is. You take my lord's arm, I will take yours, no matter how many hundreds of years it takes.
Trying sort of raises their goblet ever so slightly before taking a drink from it again.
So what is the plan now? We stick Persephone inside of a tree and leave her there, and then what for the rest of us?
Yeah, yeah, I'm probably just going to live in the tree now. Well, I made a promise to Samantha that we would handle the Yonti situation in the White Sands.
Back to the desert.
And after the other night, I think it's even more important that I follow through on that promise.
And Samantha just sort of looks to you with a face that just screams both appreciation for following through and a slight concerning look in her eyes that says, "You're goddamn right."
Persephone, I will not speak for the others, but we have come here, bit on a whim. Follow you into your troubles, to see you through it, make sure your family is whole again, but I do not want you to think that you owe anything to me. It was a good bit of fun. I was not pulled here by my ear. It is not a debt that needs to be repaid.
I know, but I literally wouldn't have been able to have done this with all of you. I mean, especially hearing what Galleon had planned. If I came here all on my own, he would have succeeded. There would have been nothing I could have done. I wouldn't be able to even face the dark-eyed Fae on my own, much less handle his labyrinth. Most of that was because of Luna and her little familiar.
Goose. We make each other stronger with our bond. Do things we cannot alone. But that is how it is. I just do not want you to feel as if you have begrudged us a bit. Do not think that we are looking for payment in return. Well, again, at least for myself.
I don't know, Samantha, what do you think the Valiant Vanguard charges for crossing into a different plane and negotiating with an archfey and then defeating another powerful fey and getting their heart back and also being bestowed a lot of powerful magic and kind of bringing peace between two different realms? We have a guild now, right? That's supposed to cost something?
It was a lot of words to say that we were doing a friend a favor.
It is always good to have a lord owing you a favor.
So, in terms of timeline, bestowing the blessing is a really big deal, and I'm pretty sure the whole council's going to want to be here for it. We'll see if we can expedite their travel, unless there's anything anybody else wants to get done while we're still here. But otherwise, we need the council to arrive. I can bestow the blessing. I still have to talk to Father about the drow. And then we can go back to Oakwell, check in on everyone.
We definitely have to go and notify the street vendors to get the appropriate permits for the festival so that they can have the
What?
sweet treats that Samantha enjoys.
Well, we're in Illyria, so Samantha's going to enjoy a lot of elfin sweets.
Indeed.
Sweets are sweets.
I wonder.
Will there
If
be
we-
like a ball for this festival? Do we need to dress up?
Oh, it would be so much fun to have a ball. And if we schedule it right, if we schedule it on a night of a new moon, we can have the night blossoms everywhere to offer light. The night blossoms are like so pretty. It's one of the prettiest things that I've ever seen. You would love them. We're gonna have a festival.
Yes. I
Captain
think the other
America.
thing-
No, I don't think I will.
I think the only thing we need to take care of today is perhaps retrieving the key.
With that and figuring out how to get the elephants through the gate.
No.
Don't think we can get the elephants all the way out
That
here.
was
Global.
another joke. I need to spend more time with Tamar, apparently.
Maybe it would be funnier if afterwards you just say end joke or that was a joke, and then we'll know we have to laugh.
Mhm. I will try.
Oh, and to answer your question, yes, I was born with them, though far less of them.
I would have thought you would have had more. Considering
Persephone does that gesture where she puts her hands on her head and like wiggles her hands to replicate your snakes.
No, not quite.
would you be willing to talk about it later?
Sure, the snake's out of the bag, I suppose. I don't particularly mind speaking about it, and I mean, even in front of Bran and Eric Gale, no point in keeping secrets from. She sort of looks to Luna for a moment. Family, I suppose. Though I do wish for Swift Hollow to be here. I mean, she might have input on what it is she needs to get done over the next few days, perhaps even coming weeks. I don't know if maybe she needs to take her associate back somewhere or collect materials or what have you.
I'm gonna go into town. I'm gonna see if I can find her and see what she's up to.
Persephone flutters up from the main chair and flies out with her hummingbird.
Ah, Persephone. We're going to find Sweet Hollow. That toy you found before. I was meaning to get my hands upon it for a gift for her. You pass it off for me. Since it ended up in your hands.
Sure, I can do that.
Persephone like lifts up the little bar that she had stowed away on her belt.
And then flies off.
Brad! We must
Yeah?
go and trade.
Oh, man, I still healing, man. I kind of need a day to let these heal, right,
No,
doctor?
let's go.
I would advise he stays and heals. Truly,
He's
Bulldog.
fine. He has the orcish blood in him.
I would advise otherwise. The boy
Best
needs
thing
to
for
mend.
health is to really open those wounds. As often as finally as possible.
You can at least do cardio, Bran. I have to show you something.
Man, I gotta go. He's gonna keep doing this all day.
Hold on, at least take it easy on him
He'll
for
be
today.
fine. I promise I will return him with both arms.
And you're not going
Maybe
to take
not
too long,
both
right?
legs.
And then you
And
say that was a
joke.
joke, right? Okay, there you go. See, he's still learning jokes. Looks, I'll be fine, I guess. Oh, hope he
We'll
doesn't
be
work me
here.
too hard.
I'm gonna go with them. I don't feel like having a dead knight. Do you mind coming with us, Eric, in case he needs some healing?
Oh, certainly. I've spent some time untwining some of these wondrous-looking placemats. I've made some string in case he needs more stitching. I
Sort of
suppose I could
watch
ask for them.
Luna and Eric go and just sort of look across the table all the way to the other side, diagonally at my favorite monkey man, Tamar Khan, over there.
Just chewing on food.
Hmm. It's interesting to find out from your past, Malcolm, that you and I are not so different, it seems.
I was curious about that. The god thing is a joke?
No.
Never met a god before. All I know is the stories that I was told when I was very young. That they created the Titans. But they were even above them. Do not even spare a vision to the people below. I did not think they would be... you, I suppose.
We can get into the specifics of things perhaps when everyone is back, but I am different than the gods that I'm sure you were taught of. Just as you are different from someone like Queen Titania.
Would be interesting to hear the tale. I've always wondered how my father was. If he truly found himself facing off against the gods, who would win?
Just sort of just pleasantly laugh at the notion that it almost seems curt, like Samantha has a 150% assumed answer to that ridiculous question, and then sips on some more of her rum while reading, just keeping a few snakes on you, waiting for the others to do what it is they are doing and perhaps come back.
Tamar gives a good old hearty burp, which I would do, but I don't feel any right now.
Hold your burp. Hold your action for a burp. There you go.
That's the best I can do. As I breakfast was gone, I have to find the answer. Samantha, I must say, I have spoken to the other as time has gone by. First with Persephone, then Luna and Swift Tunnel. And I've been meaning to talk to Quildo, but when we first met, I'm sure you understand how that went. You tried to crush my neck, squeeze the life out of me.
You
I
hurt
have to be honest.
Luna.
To be honest, for a very long time I kept my distance. At arm's length, as it were. Lived a while and found friends, but nothing ever stuck. A bit of my wandering nature, I suppose. But I decided when I spoke to Persephone, when we were heading to this place, at the edge of the wilds, that I would give this an actual chance. That all of you may really be the ones that will be my purpose. I've learned of Luna, and she is far better than what she understands, what she presents. She may be more kind-hearted than any of us. And Persephone, a bit all over the place, but quite a kind-hearted one. With Tolo, a bit like myself, a bit one-minded, searching for something, hoping to obtain something. It is very likely to be the end of her. But you, I have to admit, I want to speak to Querdon, but he is a simple enough man. I never understood you. Maybe that means your godhood is something different. I have an eye for people, as it were, to make them laugh, to make them angry. I find a way to draw it out, but you. I never know what you really are. And even if you say yourself a god, makes no difference to what you were before and what you are now, does it? You did not suddenly change when you announced it, no?
I have always been what I have always been, though in a much more beautiful form. Sort of just looks at her own hand for a moment, and you might see just a bit of disgust on her face.
So how much has it all been a lie, hidden away? Have we seen Samantha? What you want, what you desire? Or has it been a mask? This whole time? Do I even know you, Samantha?
Hmm. It depends on what you think of me, I suppose. But I have not tried to hide who I am more than I have deemed necessary. I have been possessive and jealous and vengeful, and that is a lot of who I am. I am the embodiment of avarice to Marcon, that hunger for more, the desires that push people to do unspeakable things, whether it be for wealth or for power or just for the sensation of the chase itself, not even knowing what they would do with it when they got it. These things are hard for me to shake off, but I have made strange progress in that regard. But the brutality, the power, that is all me.
Interesting. I have to admit, that sounds like more of what you think yourself to be. Because I have seen none of that. You walk together with people that desire nothing of such things. And yet you stay with him. You say you drive people for it, but I see no hunger growing within us. I see that you have done great good in the world in your actions. Up to a point where you find yourself needing to be this thing, this avarice. Is that truly you? Or something that you think you're supposed to be?
Hmm. That is how I have been worshipped. So perhaps there are more facets to the emerald that even the emerald does not see. Or perhaps all of this cooperation is simply a means to an end. A lifespan that spans millennia is a patient one.
My father always said, a monkey is just a monkey until it is not. I was born of his wisdom, and I was given such gifts. But I find much potency in the knowledge, the silver tongue, and the strength of my brothers. I try to emulate such things, so that one day the monkey will be a monkey no longer. I think we all have the ability to do such things. I think a creature born of avarice could find that one day such hunger does not control her any longer. Samantha, be you God, whatever that truly means. You are a friend, I think, to each of us. To risk yourself for Persephone, to fall in love with Luna, it does not sound like a voracious beast to me.
In a weird way, that's, I think, one of the nicest things someone's ever said about me. Although, to be fair, that list is rather short.
Well, I am here to spread joy throughout the world. Samantha, we will have a wonderful story together. But for now, I must go find the other. Well, he has a story to tell as well.
I shall be here.
And with those fading words, as Tamar starts to wander out, you feel a strange bond in between.
Oh God, what is this?
You feel the tinglies.
You feel the tinglies.
Tingle
Critical hit checked.
Emboldened. As we'll pan to outside the manor, where it seems like Kulor, Luna, and Eric have gathered, with Bran sort of, I guess, ready to do some more training, although you see him very, like, hesitantly doing some stretches. Stretches one side, stretches the other, catches himself, grimaces. Alright, what is this about?
We just
We
start going
jump-
for a walk.
Oh, so walking? I thought we were gonna fight. Okay, I'll take walking. Where you taking me, Kulor?
Don't worry about it.
That's a bit concerning, but I trust you.
So I'm gonna walk him back to the smith.
Walk quite a way. Yeah, eventually, you'd find yourself going back to the lower district of town, where you eventually lead to the looks to be the blacksmith, or at least something similar to an elven culture. People who mostly use the use of magic to craft their tools rather than true handyship, or I guess craftsmanship. Basically, leading inside, old elf would welcome you all in. See Bran following after Kolor and kind of give you a questioning look.
Is it completed?
Just in time, indeed. Thankfully, you gave us quite a bit of material to expedite the process. I think it's quite not usually my handiwork, but for someone of your, or I guess in this case, his build, I think it would do just fine. As going behind his counter, he pulls out this long, curved blade made of what seems to be silver, but glittering gently in light. As this man pulls out a very fine looking, it looks to be like a battle axe created out of mithril, and lays it out gently across the table.
Pick it up, Bran.
Wait, this for me?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I should go and like grab it and sort of lift it up. I never really used an axe before, but this is light. This is really light. Dang, what's this made out of?
Mithril.
Elven silver. Oh, that's awesome. It moves real easy as he sort of like begins to haphazardly swing it and then sort of catches himself. Works pretty well in the hand, I gotta say. I guess I might need to do some practicing today.
I told you. Thank you, sir. As I walk out, good job not dying last night, Bran.
Thank you, Goldor. Really, thank you. I don't feel like I really deserve this.
So we'll go practice with it.
Alrighty. Spending some time testing out his blade. Bit surprised by how keen it cuts, but mostly just doing some practice swings to get used to swinging this particular weapon. Seems like he spent most of his time training with a sword, and now having an entirely new blade to fight with, he's got to sort of learn its property. Fortunately, it seems to be guided by magic. It seems like Bran's got himself what seems to be a +1 mithril sword, or battle axe. Granting it newfound lightness and guidance to his strikes.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Swift Hollow comes back and gives him a gun.
As indeed.
Alright, this is cold.
Shifting on down south, Persephone flying through the air just shortly before she reaches the inn. A long night ahead of these two inventors. Time had been spent basically forming and crafting this tool, but fortunately, thanks to Swift Hollow's strange newfound connection and utilization of magic, you would find that this tool was finally formulated. It, again, in its final form, finally given an encapsulation to contain all the arcane mechanisms within. You now hold in your hand this strange-looking bent wand, although as Gizmo, in his sort of exhausted state, begins to sort of finalize the final test of it. Seems the chamber is fully primed. Need a proper field test of it to truly see if it works as intended, but all in all, I'd say the artificer revolving cylinder cannon is complete.
Let's go. As
Now, wait,
Paul rubs her eyes. I need to refresh my mind, but I can't help but feel a bit of pride.
I must say, I was not expecting you to have that much skill in short time, but you are an
I'm a fast
impressive,
learner.
you are
Couldn't you
impressive
tell?
in many regards. I've
Come
seen
on.
what you can do. For now,
There's the forest nearby. We can probably shoot some squirrels.
as he would hand to you this beautifully crafted wand that in your hand looks truly more like a hand crossbow, ordained and surrounded by this fine both elven metal as well as some gnomish architecture, as well as what seems to be the pouch that you'd given him earlier of these strange steel slugs. Sort of like the bullets you'd put in a sling, but much thinner, much more refined. You would see through his own craft, they're formed by the use of magic. Not something you can easily just shove into a cannon or otherwise into this cylinder. Something that had to be specifically formulated and shaped.
Fuck, I was joking about the literally just a gun.
She was gonna get an actual gun.
Come
As
on,
you hold it.
Gizmo.
Alrighty.
Pew pew.
As Swifthollow holds it, admires it. All to think, it took a one wayward trip to Roka, and a chance encounter with a bag of... What were these called again? These cylinders.
Hey, the slugs, they call them.
Slugs.
It's meant to stand for something, but I can't really say for what. They have to be specially crafted with the use of magic. They're not easy to pick up. You can't simply stick a bullet or otherwise a bolt inside this thing and fire. It has to be specifically used for this item.
We call them wog longs.
Long
Uh-huh.
logs.
With
Well,
the long
that's some
long.
of the cursed shit I've ever heard.
Wow! Suddenly, hearing that name, I want to put this in my mouth and eat one.
Jesus.
Suicide pact then.
It's the only way out. The only choice.
As with Hollow holsters it and drags Gizmo. It doesn't matter. We're both
Really? You don't
tired.
like twirl it around or anything before you holster it? Oh.
I don't know. Where's the gunslinger handbook? Oh wait, it hasn't been invented yet. Just like this thing. What is this called? We don't know what it's called.
Okay.
We just
It's the,
invented this.
it's
I think
the
it's
curved
I
wand.
think it's called a yun. I think the G is
The-
silent.
No,
BRB,
it's a
guys,
curved wand that fires slugs. Shut up.
Wand.
BRB, guys, I have to update Swift Hollow's icon and change those 2 daggers to guns now.
Pew pew.
As indeed, thanks to your
Tires with hollow drags tired Gizmo out into the forest.
what seemed to be several months actually of time and effort, both you and Gizmo have finished crafting what one would call the Arcanist's revolving cylinder cannon, otherwise known as the Arc Cannon. Something the first of its kind, probably seen in the world of Hearth. As yeah, you take it out, go practice with it. You'd find this thing has something of a considerably moderate range to it. Not so much longer than that of like a hand crossbow, which you'd find yourself somewhat proficient with. And again, you to fire this thing, it's feels like you're shooting a hand crossbow, but really there's a lot of preparation and time focused down on a target before you fire it. And there's no ignition, there's no spark like there's fire. It just seems to be once you pull upon the trigger, this strange arcane mechanism seems to activate, and a surge of magic causes a dissonation. Something similar you've probably practiced with before with the use of your magic that sends this object flying down the length of this cylinder, spinning and rotating to fly straight upon its length and strike quite heartily. Even one of these giant elven trees just seem to basically catch into the side and then shatter through the other side. As with that one well-placed strike, it almost seems like you shot through the entirety of one of these massive trees. I'm still working on the remaining pieces, it seems, but we find that if we spend different types of metal, forging different types of slugs, you might find different outcomes from your fire. It's still working on that, just simply making sure that the mechanism works. Very loud, though! Very loud! As he's sort of like rubbing his ears, as yeah, you'd think with the echo of this thing, this would be quite audible in any creature, possibly within about 300 feet of you.
Well, again, that's the design limitation we seem to have come across, considering something akin to, what did you call it? Thunderwave?
Oh,
Some
something
sort of
like
thunder
that.
Cannon.
As thunderous force is what guides the projectile. Oh, my ears. But if you require a weapon that can take down an enemy, regardless of silence or placement, this would do it. As the force of an artillerist cannon held in your hand, and small and thin enough to slip within your sleeve.
A weapon for gravediggers. If I needed something more subtle, I'd probably still stick to the crossbow. Or the daggers. After all, I don't think I can really poison these slugs. I don't know how... As she, looks back to how far it penetrated, how well the slugs will actually take effect. If
As long
just
as those
goes through the
things are
target.
lathered in a toxin, if anything remains behind, it might still sicken them. But it might kill them before the
Possibly.
poison gets to them.
That's what I'm theorizing as well. Excellent work.
Oh,
Yes, there's something I want to ask you.
Oh, please don't tell me it's another project. I am very tired.
Oh, no. How would you feel if I became your patron? I have more than enough gold and platinum to cover your lifetime expenses, and grave digging takes too much time. As you saw, I was gone for a week trying to save the city and etc. Acquire powers beyond my wildest imaginations. I do not have time to work on. Squall. I think I'll call this Squall. Like a gust of wind. I did not have time to work on Squall. As she twirls it around and holsters the gun. I'll provide for everything you need, the materials, etc. And you'll just work for me. And only me.
Or else.
I do recall finding myself in your service mostly by chance, and, well, At this point, I suppose I have nowhere else to go. All I would ask is you find myself a proper workshop, if your funds can provide such, whether here or in perhaps your town of Oakwell, maybe more supplied somewhere. Somewhere I'd find myself safe with all of the tools at my disposal. I would be happy to finally advance and spread my reach away from pedantic toys. Tired of the clinking and clanking of tiny gears. To make something worthwhile. This is exhausting, but quite exciting, to
Satisfying.
say the least. Very much so. Oh,
Months and months of work now that I think about it. I suppose a short glimpse in our lifetimes.
indeed.
Come
Still
on.
terrifying when you have the eyes of Broken Ridge searching for you.
I'll try to shake them off your tail. I'm crafting something. Apparently, someone has apprehended someone else. I believe it was the man with the airship, who is believed to be accused of stealing the blueprints.
It works out great in my favor. Wonderful. Problem solved.
I'll work to clear your name. Make sure that they're off your tail. Come on, I think
Wonderful.
we deserve this rest. Oh, I need to refresh my mind.
Yes. Spending some time heading back to the inn, you would find Persephone just about the same time, rushing in, watching as looks like Swift Hollow and Gizmo had just exited and now are returning to the inn.
Bags
Looking
under her eyes,
very
1,000
tired,
yards there.
disheveled, sweaty. I wonder what they could be up to. Persephone.
And covered in oil.
My insight's too high to convince me of anything otherwise.
They just started the orgy early. It's fine.
She wearing the same clothes she left with yesterday.
So like I'm getting there as they're coming back. Or
Basically, like as you come to the inn looking for them, you'd like be walking down the walkway to get to their room, and at the same time, you'd be seeing them walk in from outside, but like catching them intersecting.
Swifty.
Oh, Persephone.
Oh my dear, where did you come from?
A little bit. Go on, Gizmo, let's get back to your room. As Suathala just makes a hand to follow her.
Right.
She just
Okay.
flutters on over.
Hurried to get back to it, Persephone.
Careful, Brendan. You were right about the gun.
Yeah, once we get back, I'll make sure Gizmo's tucked in, and then Swithala just kind of sits down cross-legged in a corner. Looks like she's getting ready to trance. Is there something you needed?
You didn't come back last night, and we didn't see you this morning. I was just kind of wondering where you are because nobody saw you. Did you rest last night?
Busy. I did not. I worked throughout the night.
So you haven't tranced yet?
This is Persephone gets closer and then she just plops herself down in front of her.
Do you think you can show me? I tried. I mean, like you know how when Braille was supposed to get married, he was supposed to become like a full elf. Well, full elves trans and half elves don't. So I don't know how. And I tried last night and I just fell asleep. So I guess I'm doing it wrong.
And Swithala just like stares into a wall for a couple of seconds before. I don't know how to describe it. It's
Well, maybe just as you go into a trance, just kind of talk me through what you're doing, and I'll try my best to mimic it.
okay. So first we take a breath. It's like meditating, but not. It's something akin to it, but this is supposed to recycle your mind and refresh it. I don't really know much about sleep, but I've heard humans compare it to such. Although even after our trance we are more refreshed and we don't need as long. So we just think, and we still our mind and we focus on something. Swithala just closes her eyes and slights the trance. we
Focus.
consider something. I usually consider objects or things that I need to think about. Perhaps a next step, perhaps something I needed to work on. It's like thinking, although resting.
Thinking and resting. Okay, that doesn't sound so hard.
As Persephone crosses her legs and takes a deep breath and just tries to focus. And opens an eye because she can't remember if elves transfer their eyes open or their eyes closed. Closes an eye again. Opens the other eye. Concedes. Because now she's not tired. And not to disturb Swift Hollow, she's just going to quietly shift over and sit next to Swift Hollow and gently start braiding her hair to pass the time.
Use the gun.
So Thala sleeps. Trances.
Sleeps.
Same difference.
In that quiet moment, these two gently meditate with one another. The long night, I guess now coming to morning, sort of reaching a calm lull, as I suppose it sounds like. While there's going to be something of a celebration, a task that Persephone wishes to bestow a blessing upon the great tree, party might make it into something much more greater, something worthy of a grand festival across the entire city.
Wasn't it just breakfast?
I mean, I'm looking over what you guys are up to. Like, are you guys turning this into a festival? What are you guys
Oh yeah,
doing?
we would.
We're making a party.
Party!
What are you
All right.
saying over there?
Persephone pinatas. There's gonna be little
What?
fairy wing capes. It's gonna
You
be
can't
great.
just have a party with the Valiant Vanguard. No.
Me and
It's
Tamarkan
not
snuck
that.
the elephants in.
We
As-
already bought. Switala literally funneled all of her gold. Like she lied
As-
to
If the
I would-
Isabel.
if the assumption is that the council will be showing up like later in the week, we could probably start the festival like tomorrow. Everybody rushed.
I would say by this point, probably reconvening with your father, considering the current situation with the Eternal Oath, there is a message had been sent out, words had been sent, but for now, the Eternal Oath are to remain where they are. There has been a breach among the power that lies among them, and currently there is a moment, one might say, of distrust. It's unwise to bring all the Eternal Oath here, especially after Galleon had mentioned part of his plot was to bring them all in one place so he could kill them all. So, for the sake of the festivities, they're going to try and bring them as soon as possible, but they're going to celebrate you guys. Kalon has been organizing the remainder of what seemed to be the most trustworthy of the guard, while it seems more discord is being sown out of Inalin for the time being. But for the next couple of days, you guys would have time to relax, enjoy yourselves, maybe spend some time helping the guards, either with the above ground or below ground problems. But we will end tonight's session with the party having regrouped themselves, some finding newfound power, otherwise finding newfound bonds, tools, weapons of the trade. And we will start next session at the, so far, I guess what I might call the apex of the celebration, where one certain elf girl will bestow the tree with great power, and possibly, it seems, the Valiant Vanguard will say their goodbye to the city of Inalin and move on to what seems to be the next chapter, the next leg of their adventure, one that might take them beyond the elven lands, back to familiar lands of sand, discover things undiscovered, possibly find the next step, the next clue as to what exactly is going on with these strange seeds of power and destruction, and what this sovereign's true intent might be. But for now, that's all I've got for you guys, as the night is getting on long, and we'll give ourselves a good starting point next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
That's all I got, baby.
Alrighty then. I want to thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. And I hope that you enjoyed Song of Rapture enough to come back again, hopefully next week, right here on Lionhead Gaming at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, for more of our wonderful little Valiant Vanguard. I want to thank Johnny Thunder for the bits, and Featherfall Tabletop for following, and Good X Ash for following, and Featherfall Tabletop, thank you so much for subscribing as well. We really appreciate the support, and it goes a long way. We will be back hopefully this Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern for more Heroes of Thylia with our wonderful Greek adventure that I DM, where our heroes are continuing their ascent up the frigid peaks of the Mithra Mountains to get to the necropolis and face a challenge that has not been bested in over 500 years. It's a crazy time there. Tune in for that this Sunday if you want. It's fun. And then we should swing back around next Thursday for more Song of Rapture. We do
Hey,
have...
Mel, I got a quick question for you, though. What happens if you really, really love the Valiant Vanguard?
If you really, really, really love the Valiant
Yeah.
Vanguard, you can go and check out Lionhead Gaming on Redbubble and buy one of our new pieces of merchandise. that
Wait,
has-
like this?
Hey.
Yes, like that!
Oh, like a nice little acrylic thing that you could put on a bookshelf. It's
Yes,
got
or
all the players' logos on it.
I'm very proud of that one.
It looks very nice. I enjoy it.
You can get an acrylic block, you can get shirts, apparel, stickers, magnets. I'm putting our merch store in the chat so you guys can all check it out. Check out our new Valiant Vanguard and Song of Rapture line. That features
Coming
not-
soon, a gun!
Coming
Just a real gun.
A gun! Valiant Vanguard gun!
Don't worry about serial numbers. They've been filed off.
Don't worry about where we got them. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to update
find
our
a
road.
find
We
somebody on
made
Etsy,
them. We're
on
artificers. We
Etsy,
just made them ourselves.
and
Don't
do
ask
a
questions.
commission to make a one-of-a-kind, like 3D print mold of Swift Hollow's Squall. For only $9,000. Indeed, we do have a wonderful merch store that Mel has been working on cool art and logos and the like, updating that and putting that up there. So feel free to check that out. And of course, if you're interested in perhaps new products or different versions of things, feel free to join the Discord. Hit me up on Twitter and pass along what it is you'd like to see. And of course, any support that you channel through Redbubble or through Twitch, through donations or subscriptions or through the podcast, all help to create new things and perhaps even can push towards new ideas and new concepts for the channel in general. But I'm just happy that you like to listen and hang out as well. So with that, I want to thank you all one final time for hanging out with us. I hope to see you again in the future. And as always, may your dice roll 20s, and you always make your saves.
Later, y'all.
Toodles.
Bye.
People are still getting sick. Wear your masks. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
It goes
Don't
over your
touch
nose.
face.
Well, a spawn of
because it rains here fairly often.